If you're already a fan of the Strategic Mind series from Stay My Games or Stay Me Games, then you will have a pretty accurate idea of what to expect with the latest edition called Strategic Mind Blitzkrieg. Detail, complexity and historical accuracy are the Strategic Mind series' greatest assets, and with the revamped tutorials, newcomers will be up and running much quicker. As always, Strategic Mind games release with full content, and you can expect long-term support for Strategic Mind Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg, of course, delves deep into World War II's European theatre, and it releases on the 22nd of May 2020. Now this is a preview copy, it's not the final release, and as such there's a lot of updates and patches coming through all the time, and it doesn't fully reflect the final release, so any bugs or issues you see will hopefully not be there for the full release.
Deputies, men of the German Reichstag, for months we have been suffering under the torture of a problem which the Versailles Diktat created. A problem which has deteriorated until it has become intolerable for us. Danzig was and is a German city. The corridor was and is German. Both these territories owe their cultural development exclusively to the German people.
Strategic Mind Blitzkrieg is a plot-driven turn-based tactical RTS and will feel instantly familiar to those of you who played the original. From the control system, the animations and the cutscenes, this is unmistakably part of the Strategic Mind series. This time we have a single campaign fought as the Axis across the European theatre, and you will of course control land, sea and air units. The game has excellent attention to historical detail in regards to vehicles, weapons and equipment, but it's not limited by it, allowing you to rewrite history as you see fit. There are many conditional variables that will need to be considered: weather conditions, infrastructure and land variations, plus the supply mechanics to consider, each of which will dramatically affect a unit in a variety of different ways. Night and rain can boost camouflage and reduce enemies' visibility range, making it a perfect time to stealthily move units up. City tiles offer greater defense, further boosted by entrenchment. Mountain and forest tiles hamper movement but also boost camouflage and defense, which is perfect for units with greater reconnaissance range. With the 5 preset difficulty levels, this game will definitely offer up the right amount of challenge for you. Even on easy you can accidentally fall into an ambush and lose a key unit. Plus you can tweak and adjust the difficulty setting as you see fit. The Blitzkrieg offers up the same decent 3D modelling and detailed environments as its predecessor. Explosions are nice, but unfortunately flamethrowers appear to only use machine guns and not a flamethrower. I'd really like to see that worked on. The 3D modelled units occasionally display animations, and I've got to say they're a little bit janky, and it's the camera that causes this problem. Sometimes the animations are actually over before the camera has even had a chance to reach the viewing position. I think it would look a lot better if they just slowed down the process a bit more and had a smoother transition between the two. Still, there's lots of added immersion as a result of the animations, and the only criticism really that I can come up with is when a scout unit pushes ahead and it spots an enemy unit, it will shout out and stop, but unfortunately it does that at the very start of the movement rather than when it reaches the hex where they see the enemy. I think that's just a bug, hopefully they'll fix that.
Enemy spotted. Nice and easy.
So the whole game is driven by the existence of historically accurate data, but it's not limited to it. You can of course change the course of history. Your mission here is to take the Axis and actually win the European theatre. Not an easy task, I can assure you. Technological advancements will be available to you when the correct time frame has been reached, and not before. It's very immersive, this game. The battles and the tactical analysis, using long-range bombardment from either the sea or your artillery units in order to soften up the enemy before pushing in with your men and finally driving hard home, with your tanks. The number of upgrades available to units and the different equipment that you can unlock and utilize really gives each unit its own special ability, and they become super effective at certain jobs, which really allows you to control and build the army that you want to have. Tanks have a Blitzkrieg ability where if they push into a hex and beat an enemy unit, they then get to push into another hex and fire a second time, and that can happen for an unlimited number of turns. It really makes the game move forward rather quickly at times, and yeah, it ticks the box as being a Blitzkrieg.
Heard you loud and clear. Always ready.
The audio is pretty decent in this game for this type of genre. The explosions, the gunfire and the machinery when they're on the move all sounds pretty good, but it's pretty much exactly the same as it was in the original. Personally, I would have liked to have seen some improvement on audio, but as it is, it's still acceptable. The cutscenes, I think, are a great addition. They've obviously put a lot of time and effort into making them, but somewhat break the immersion due to the occasionally dodgy voice acting that's on offer.
Stop, Halda! How much longer should we tolerate the endless humiliation of the German nation? The German army is bound to protect our people, even those living in the territories controlled by Poland.
Many games do not provide voiceover at all, so this actually is a solid positive for the game. As the game already provides subtitles, I think they maybe should have considered German-speaking actors with the voiceover subtitles. That, I think, would have worked a lot better, and maybe it's a consideration for the future. The in-game music is okay, and although it is okay, you will probably turn it off pretty early on because it does get a tad repetitive. So I did experience quite a few bugs in the game. When I was trying to send a unit somewhere, clicking on a second unit too quickly sometimes rendered one or both of them unable to move. So they would have used up all of their movement points but wouldn't actually be able to move. For most units that's irritating but okay, but when that happens to an airborne unit and they run out of fuel, that is really quite infuriating. So that's a bug they're definitely going to have to sort out. Now, as I say, this is an early access copy. There's a lot of updates coming through, another one this morning, and each time we get an update it does seem to sit down and stabilize a lot better. I have seen quite a few rendering bugs where the screen turns completely white or completely blue. It only lasts for 10-20 seconds, something like that, and then it seems to come back into play. Also, clicking on the mouse seemed to get it going again. I did have one or two long system hangs where it looked like the game had crashed, but then eventually it just started working again. Double clicking on units only seems to work intermittently, and I've got to say I think this is something that I experienced in the first one, and I kind of put it down to me, but I definitely think that that's something that needs to be looked at as well. So remember, this is an early preview copy. The version I have is not the final product that you're going to get in a couple of days' time, so I wouldn't worry about it too much, and the developers behind this project, they will be working on this relentlessly for weeks and months and even years ahead of now. So the controls and the camera options I think are okay. The only real issue that I have with the controls is when units take unexpected routes in order to get to locations. Now this really comes down to me being a bit too quick on the mouse. I want to attack a unit, so I put my mouse over the unit. I'm only 2 squares away, and as I go to click on it, it changes the arrow to go all the way around the outside, thereby driving past anti-tank guns and other such units, and I take a lot of damage as a result. It's quite annoying that you're going to often suffer excessive damage and even loss because of that issue, but it's not really a bug. It's kind of like it kind of almost warrants the ability to have a single undo button, because there's no way on earth I would want to go all the way around the city to get to this unit that I'm just 2 squares away from. Zoom, I think, could also be quite a bit more versatile. It seems we've only got 5 levels of zoom available to us at present, and they go in stages. I think either 1 or 2 more levels of zoom could benefit more players, or better still, just the ability to have a completely smooth camera zoom. That would be even better. That would allow everybody to set the zoom exactly as they wanted. As in all previous games, a single hex can have a heck of a lot of information and an awful lot of things going on top of it at any one time. Accidental clicks and sending units when you intend to attack can happen a little bit too often. Maybe having the option for keybinds to attack would alleviate this problem. but I don't know. It's kind of, again, comes down to rushing too much or just not being accurate enough with the mouse. So whilst the game doesn't really offer any kind of high-level customization other than being able to rename units, each unit can be modified excessively. There's a vast array of upgrades and options available, and even as time moves on, you will gain access to technological advancements which bring in new customization options as well. There's also a bunch of heroes which can be assigned to certain units. Now, once they're gone, but they really do boost the ability of a single unit. Now, the tutorials have been improved. They offer new players the ability to get up and running much quicker. The detailed explanations accompanied with actual hands-on gameplay should allow each user to quickly and clearly understand not only the vast amount of information that they're looking at on the screen, but how best to utilize it. In my preview copy, like I say, I did encounter a few bugs, mostly relating to terminology when describing units, but one issue prevented a window from opening and I had to restart the game. Overall though, the tutorial provided a good experience and a decent understanding of the game's mechanics. I've even learnt a few things that I didn't know previously. If I had one criticism of the tutorials, it would be that the speed at which the narrator speaks is a little too fast, I think, especially for new players to the series. There's a lot of information coming in and you've got to kind of process it and see what it means and understand it. And as soon as you left click, it goes on to the next thing. There doesn't seem to be any way of slowing it down that I've seen, and I think for some people that might become quite frustrating. I don't have an official price for this title, but I expect it to be in keeping with the previous release, perhaps a little bit cheaper as there's only a single campaign, but I think anywhere from sort of £20 up is where the price is going to be. I think if you're into that kind of game, then that's a decent price, but for the casual gamer, that might be priced a little bit too high and you might want to wait until it's in the sales. Looking on Steam right now, I can see that Panzer Strategy is $23.79 and Strategic Mind: The Pacific, which is a really great game, I really enjoyed that, is only $17.84 on sale at the moment, but $23.79 seems to be the sweet spot. And having spoken to the developers previously about the pricing that they apply on their games, it's basically a percentage workout so that Steam get their money and they still earn enough to make a profit on what they're doing. So I can almost guarantee $23.79 is probably going to be about the right price. So I think it's worth considering the idea of having a single undo button so you can take one move back. And that's not because you make a bad decision and you waste a unit. It's more to do with there are so many items and so many things happening within a single hex that you probably will on occasion accidentally move a unit when you intend to attack a unit, and as a result you're going to suffer some losses. It's quite frustrating, and I mean, it can be overcome with practice, I guess, but maybe just considering adding a single undo button would just alleviate that problem, especially for beginners. Maybe only have that for the lower level of difficulty. I'd also like to be able to order the units that I have by remaining strength. This would allow me to prioritize getting those protected or out of dangerous situations. But there's so many units on screen, so many things going on, you can have multiple battles all at the same time, it can get a little overwhelming. Simply being able to order units by remaining strength will quickly and easily highlight to me which units need to be moved first. Now, whilst the graphics and animations in the game are absolutely fine, they are pretty much identical to Panzer Strategy, a game which came out in 2018. I would have liked to have seen some upgraded graphics and animations, but it's okay as it is. I never really had a problem with it before, but you kind of like to see some progression. There are some new features in the game, but nothing really outstanding that sort of sets this singular campaign out from the rest. It is, of course, in the European theatre, and it is, of course, the Blitzkrieg version. So these kind of highly tactical turn-based games are not for everyone, but if this is a genre that you're interested in, then I would say that this is probably one of, if not the best kind of series for it. There are so many technical elements to consider, so many options and opportunities to consider as well, and the scalable AI difficulty really ensures that all levels of skill can be tested. If the price is right for you and the bugs get ironed out quickly, then this is an easy recommendation for people into this kind of thing. I certainly like the Blitzkrieg ability for the tanks, pushing through units. I mean, when you get a roll going on, you can absolutely decimate and move forward so unbelievably quickly, and that gives the game a massive injection of pace that sometimes I feel like it could benefit from. So yeah, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I'm Sim UK. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed this review. Take care of yourselves until next time. Goodbye.